now recording.
Damn.
That's right. We're back. It's been a while since we recorded, so that's why we're all happy to be back.
It has only been a week, wasn't it?
No, it's been 2 weeks.
It has been 2 weeks?
We literally did not record last week because of what we're discussing in this episode.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's not my fault you didn't go, Armin. But, yeah. If you were following us on social media, you'd know that several members of the NHC Podcast went to TetZooCon, Tetrapod Zoology Convention, which is an annual event held in October-ish. And we've decided that we'll do a video on it because it was great and there's lots of stuff to talk about, quite a lot. So we're just going to do a bit more of a chill podcast episode today, which just going to be audio only. Like, you'll be seeing pictures on screen, but we won't be sharing pictures as we record this. It's just visually pleasing if you guys want to watch, or if you guys just want to listen, you can also just, I don't know, find a way to listen to it whilst also turning off your screen. YouTube's terrible that way. But, yeah. So, joining us for this episode is Yoyo.
Hello.
Who was at TetZooCon with me, and Armin, who wasn't at TetZooCon, but he's kind of a regular, so he's basically always here.
Yes, I'm just here as a background asset, basically.
Yes.
Armin has an outside perspective.
Yeah, by which I mean we needed Armin, because always Armin. And also, you may have noticed, there is another voice amongst us today. Yes, we are joined by Joschua Knuppe. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah. So, we've never done a crossover with Joschua before, but he has been a part of this podcast for some time in the form of the server challenges, because Joschua runs Paleostream. So, every crossover with Paleostream for the art challenges that we've done 2 so far, has been a crossover with Joschua. So now you have a voice to the challenge.
In case
Whoa.
people didn't know my voice already from the stream. So
Yes.
That's fair. But I don't
hello,
know.
new listeners.
Yeah. Right. So, TetZooCon, what is it? TetZooCon is in its 6th year now. It started in 2014. It's a convention, an annual one, which is currently a 2-day event, a weekend event. It used to be just 1-day event, but then I believe last year was its first 2-day event.
Indeed.
So it is run by Darren Naish and John Conway. Darren Naish is famous, amongst other things. He's a paleontologist. He's described a lot of dinosaurs and pterosaurs, quite a lot of that as well. He's been an advisor on shows like Walking with Dinosaurs. And he also started quite some time ago, I believe even he doesn't remember when, the TetZoo blog, TetZoo being short for Tetrapod Zoology. And TetZooCon basically came about as the online community of the TetZoo blog decided, well, it would be nice to have an event where we could all get together. And so it was born. TetZoo also has its own podcast. Check it out. Good stuff.
John and Darren rambling about all sorts of things, mostly tetrapod related. Tetrapods, maybe for those who don't know, are all vertebrates except fishes.
Goddamn fish.
Everything with 4 legs.
So,
Indeed.
that's it. So the format of TetZooCon, it's, I believe, one of the few conventions in the world that not only deals with paleontology, but also paleo art. So especially this year, there was a lot about paleo art and natural history filmmaking, both for extant animals and extinct animals, which we'll get to in the final talk. But stay tuned for our discussion of that one. But the structure of TetZooCon is basically a series of talks throughout the 2 days. And in between, you're allowed to go out of the lecture room and walk around the various stalls and stands that are there, which host paleo artists usually.
I mean, you are allowed to walk out of the lecture hall at any point.
No, I think they kill you if you do that.
Oh, really?
There's a sniper positioned right on the other side of the street. I'm ready to shoot.
That's why I got these angry looks when I went to the toilet.
Yeah,
that explains it.
So that's really it. We're just gonna, I think, get right into it now and start with discussing the talks in chronological order. So starting with the morning of Saturday the 19th.
Why not in alphabetical order?
What alphabetical order? Alphabetical order of the speaker, alphabetical order of the title of the talk?
That's a good question.
What if there's multiple speakers? So yeah, we're doing it chronologically. So
sorry for doing everything the wrong way. Yes, please continue.
Yes. 10 a.m. Saturday the 19th. Doors opened, and then shortly after there was a talk by Conway and Naish on TetZooCon's history, kind of the stuff we already covered. It was a 6-day event. God, I can't get that right, can I? It's a 6-year thing. Currently 2-day events.
6-day event would be awesome.
That would be so awesome.
Almost
but I
as
think
awesome as a 2-year
Darren
event.
and John would be dead at the end. So
yeah. And also, yeah, there would be serious death. Currently hosted at the venue, but that may change. And that's pretty much it. And then we went right into our first talk, which was by Ellen Coombs. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
I hope as well.
About cetacean stranding records over the past 100 years in the UK and Ireland. Very interesting talk. Did what the title said. It covered a lot of the history of strandings and diversity of cetaceans in the UK, and tried to sort of figure out the cause for these strandings, but ultimately concluded that really that's quite tricky to figure out because not all cetaceans can be lumped under one cause. They're all very different animals. They have different stimuli. They're all very different sizes, different lifestyles. Some have teeth, some do not. That's a fun fact.
Yeah, and some are solitary, and some live in herds, and
pods.
Yeah, that can give false signals as well. Also, there are differences in the region. For example, to the Atlantic, we have more sites with more strandings than to the North Sea.
Yeah. Also, there were some interesting developments over time. Like the blue whale, we had like 5 strandings early on and none since.
That's interesting.
Yeah, nothing since the 80s.
Which 80s? 1980s. Yeah.
Yes.
Just checking. Yeah, it was 100 years. It's hypothesized that the cause for this is simply that we just hunted them so much that there's not really that many blue whales left to be stranded.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
While the inverse is actually happening with humpback whales, which were already quite hunted, so we don't have that many ones at the start of the past 100-year timescale. But in more recent decades, we've been getting more and more humpback whales, which correlates with the fact that they are actually increasing in number again.
Yeah, and generally the number of strandings increased since the 80s. Of course, there are a few that were always quite frequent. I think there's a beaked whale that was always quite frequent. There is a common dolphin. Because they are so common, as the name implies,
but
you get a lot of them.
Nice.
Yeah. And the harbor porpoises that are just all over the place, everywhere.
Yeah.
So
yeah. We're going to be speeding a bit through these talks because there was quite a lot of them. I believe, Joshua, you've been to the previous one and saying there's not as many talks as previous years.
Yes. I actually talked with Darren about that, and we both concluded that it's a good size, good number of talks.
Yeah, I think
doesn't feel too crowded. Every speaker has enough time to really go in depth of that topic. We should mention that maybe because usually
definitely.
SVP, for example, has 15 minutes usually per talk. So you can only tease your research, not really go in depth. When if you want to know more, you have to get these people in person in a lunch break or something. But here, more than 40 minutes usually per talk.
Yeah, around 40 minutes, I think, was the usual. Half an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Which was good. Yeah. Next up, we had Jack Ashby, one of the 40-minute talks on unnatural history museums. So I believe Ashby started out by talking, he gave a few examples relating to a book about museum, about like, I don't know what the context was, but he was talking about various different museum specimens like walruses and gaboon vipers, I believe.
Yeah.
He talked about like making inferences on living animals from the skeletons and all that.
The walrus talk was very, very cool.
Yeah. Very. And then he went on to... Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he basically spoke about how the different biases that surround and happen in a museum distort the way we look at the natural world.
Yeah. First off was the bias towards mammals. As humans, we prefer to see mammals, probably because we are mammals, and also we don't really like insects. So the general biodiversity in the world is far from the biodiversity shown in museums.
Yes.
Like, there were a couple of pie charts as well. It was very interesting stuff. The statistics. Another bias is size bias. We prefer them big.
Yeah, because people like...
That's what she said.
Yeah, big.
Thank you, Armin.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
It's the sole reason we got you into this talk.
Just wait until I'm at TetZooCon myself.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Can you imagine that?
Next year.
You mean you don't want to imagine that?
No. NHC Podcast panel for TetZooCon. Come on. We got this.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah.
At least one panel. Maybe two.
Yeah. So yeah, other biases were sex bias. So you'll get more males than females in these museums, which is of course wrong.
Impressive, you could say.
For mammals, at least.
Yeah.
But that's
birds. Especially birds.
Oh, speaking of birds, that was also something else, but that's in regards to how they're posed. We'll get to that in a moment.
Oh,
but yeah, there's really an impressive amount of bias. Like he showed a picture of like this one hallway where there's nothing but males except for like one female lying down in the corner. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough one to, and it's a bit of a like obvious. I think kind of clear that's obviously because of an inherent sexism, at least in the olden days, let's say. But at the same time, there is also the irrefutable factor that they are usually more impressive by natural selection. So with regards to that, they are physically more impressive. You also oftentimes need to pick just one sex to depict. You can't depict both male and female, otherwise you'd have half as many species on display.
Yeah, size constraints, space constraints, of course. It's a problem.
So yeah,
especially for smaller museums.
Yeah, so it's a really tough dilemma. So in conclusion, just stick to paleontology museums because you'll be lucky if you even have a specimen for that.
They are all bones. You can't tell if they have a dick or not,
even have
unless
bones.
it's certain mammals. But I think that was mentioned at TetZooCon anyways.
Yes. Speaking of which, a lot of mammals have penis bones. Cats, I believe, were one example that were given, and carnivora, and some carnivorans.
Or walrus, definitely really large ones.
Yeah, which is of course omitted from displays. So as was mentioned, there's probably like a box in the back of every museum with just tons of penis bones from various genera.
What a nice spot that is.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see such a box. Must be fascinating.
Yes. Just go to the local museum. Okay, where is your dick box?
Where is your penis bone box? Show it to me.
Oh god.
And I believe one of the last ones was in terms of how animals are displayed. And this ties back to what we said about birds and sexual dimorphism. You'll have like the male birds being all resplendent and showing off, and the female birds will be timid and submissive.
Yeah.
Which is not really what happens in nature at all. I mean, the males are the ones that are just displaying themselves in front of the female, and the female is the choosy one. So
yeah, and the female does all the rest, basically. Often.
Yeah.
And there was another bias.
Right.
It has to do with the political history of a nation where the museum is located.
Yeah.
Because especially colonial history is a thing. So
basically empires, like British Empire, German Empire, were the two ones discussed mostly.
Yeah. So different museums and different nations will have different typical exotic creatures on display.
So, there was lunch after that?
Oh, you are really quiet for me for some reason.
What?
You are really quiet for me for some reason.
And since you get one particular species, British Empire, a bit, yeah. Anyways, so as I was saying, echidnas, you'll get one particular species of echidna in British museums because it's from like New Zealand, and you'll have another species of echidna in German museums because it's Papua New Guinea, I believe, or one of those that was formerly part of the German Empire. So it really depends. So that I feel was also very interesting how history has affected it and the whole empires and all that. And then there was lunch, my favorite of talks.
Oh yeah.
Where I don't know what everyone else did. I just went and got a sandwich.
I had pasta.
Oh,
you thought
ahead.
I ate a lot.
Okay.
I don't know why.
What? It's a really important question. What did Yoyo eat?
So I ate a hot dog, and then
was it your first hot dog? Was it a good one?
It was a good one.
That's good. Continue.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go more about what we did during like the breaks and all of that during our talk, because later on we'll discuss what we did during the breaks and our personal time and all of that. Now we're just going through the talks, the informative bit, so to speak. And next up, we had a sort of talk in that we had an hour-long roundtable session on dinosaur and pterosaur paleobiology. Led by Darren Naish. This one had as speakers Dave Hone, Chris Barker, Rebecca Larkin, don't know how to pronounce that, I apologize, and Jordan Bestwick. All of whom also have talks on the next day. So this was sort of an introduction, but not really, because they didn't introduce them much.
Yep.
That was pretty interesting all round. I mean, it was a discussion. I mean, there's not much we can say, really, without just telling you what they said, so you should have been there.
You still need to send me your notes.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But no.
I mean, also, a lot of things that were discussed are known to people who are active in the paleo community. So
unknown? Like what?
No, I mean known.
Yes. I mean, there were discussions of like the Pachycephalosaur ontogeny, which we may or may not, which we may discuss at some point in the future on the podcast, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah, we keep delaying it for obvious reasons.
I mean, there was.
I think Pachycephalosaurs in general deserve an episode.
I mean, the reason we're delaying it is because on the one hand, we have an alleged adult or more adult, because of course there's the other issue of when can you say for sure that something is an adult. Then you have a more adult, a more grown Stygimoloch specimen that is being prepared by Larson, which will apparently prove that the two are distinct. We had a poster at SVP about research showing that actually Pachycephalosaurus and Stygimoloch are sexual dimorphism. And then there's, of course, Horner's argument that it's actually the changes in between Stygimoloch and Pachycephalosaurus are ontogenetic, with the dome being an ontogenetic feature for sexual selection, while the horns are just not important.
Yeah, and there's still that specimen of a Pachycephalosaurus, an adult one, that some say belongs to a separate species of the genus Pachycephalosaurus, and Stygimoloch and Dracorex are basically the ontogenetic morphs of this new species.
Is that the specimen by Larson?
No, that's something different. You can find already pictures online. It looks basically like a normal Pachycephalosaurus, but with more pronounced spines.
That's Sandy, right?
I'm not
specimen
sure.
Called, yeah, I think that's Sandy, which is seen a lot of the time as casts, but still hasn't been described.
Yeah, some call it.
Issue with a lot of
some call it, what was it? Pachycephalosaurus spinifera.
Yeah, which would of course be the lumping of, but that would just be the lumping of Stygimoloch as a separate species of Pachycephalosaurus. So instead of Stygimoloch spinifera, that would be Pachycephalosaurus spinifera.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. So there's various different ways you can get to that conclusion, and there's just a lot of different arguments floating around. Some of which are based on specimens that haven't been described yet. Others others are just new research. It's a mess at the moment.
Yeah. As usual, we need more fossils.
Or research, because up to date, Horner is the only person to have actually studied it. That's why his theory has been accepted without question by some. Yeah. His is the only paper on Pachycephalosaurus and Stygimoloch, and nobody's questioned it since in terms of paper.
And of course, it's partly related to that. Usually museums have problems with letting you cut open bones.
Well, why cut open when you can just smash them open like eggs?
Yeah, although there are by now
non-destructive
osteohistological. Yeah, CT scanning is usually, or micro CT can work, but it's often not as clear as thin sections. But there are by now methods that are much less invasive, like just drilling. Having a little core drilled out and looking at that for a thin section, because you only need a little cross section of the bone. You don't have to cut all through it. Necessarily.
Yeah.
And it's also much quicker.
Yeah. There was also discussion of gregariousness in dinosaurs, and to what extent can we actually estimate gregariousness?
Yeah, and what it tells us about the social behavior, potentially.
Yeah. There's more on these later. These are also discussed more in depth in papers, in talks later on. So I think we'll just move on from the roundtable session. There was a lot of interesting stuff. But it would just have been nice to have been there and be able to ask questions. Next up, we have a half-hour talk by Mike Dickerson on what is a native bird, specifically relating to birds of New Zealand, both extant and extinct. Because there's the whole issue in New Zealand of classifying native birds as the ones you can't hunt, and invasive and foreign birds as like kill them all, as what he called trash birds, and I quote. So interesting stuff there. Discussion of Hurst's eagle as well. I don't know if we should spoil some of what was mentioned with regards.
It was already put on Twitter.
I know. Do we discuss it though?
There is apparently large bird news coming. So.
And by large bird news, we mean that in more ways than one.
Yeah.
But yeah. Overall, very good talk.
I think he really showed very well how non-binary this whole issue is. That it's really hard sometimes to say this is a native. That it's the wrong way to say this is a native. This is a
He came up with a bunch of Maori terms, I believe, that could have been good substitutes. So yeah.
Yeah, it's often easier apparently to differentiate between birds introduced by humans and birds that were not introduced by humans.
As opposed to what is currently being done, which is birds introduced by Europeans and birds not introduced by Europeans, and birds that have always been here and birds that have just been here but settled enough to be considered native. So
and
it's a mess.
then there's this other category that basically humans' presence provoked that birds would settle somewhere because they may have come over from Australia, for example, before, but just didn't found the environment they needed. But with the introduction of humans, they suddenly had, for example, open landscapes, which they needed, grasslands, and so on. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna
very complex issue.
Yeah, and it was well discussed. Not much more to say. I think we're gonna start. Picking up the pace a little bit.
One thing we should probably mention. He mentioned a beautiful book in his talk about extinct New Zealand birds.
Ah, yes.
I tried to get that book.
The $415 book.
It is extremely expensive online. Basically, nowhere to be found. And if you can find it, it is beyond the reasonable reach of any person with a normal income.
Yeah, my wallet would cry.
Yeah. I could buy it, but I would need to reach so deep into my pockets, and I don't appreciate New Zealand birds enough for that. Yeah. I really like them, but at some point, even I have to say, no, I need this for other stuff.
Yeah. Then there was a coffee break. And then we were split up. So Joschua not only attended but also presented the it presented in the Paleo Art workshop.
Yeah, the Paleo Art workshop, by the way, is something that was part of the TetZooCon from the start. And
nice.
So because John Conway is part of the organization team, he definitely had a say in that. And
John Conway being, a prominent paleo artist.
Yeah,
as for all the paleo artists there. But yeah,
the TetZooCon is basically within Europe one of the few conferences really with a lot of paleo artists in attendance.
Yeah. So, do you want to go with the Paleo Art workshop, and then I'll discuss the other half, because I was in the natural history.
Oh, you were there. That's nice. I didn't know.
Yeah, I couldn't make it to the Paleo Art workshop. I didn't buy a ticket. I didn't realize that you were in the separate bit. If I did, I would have bought the ticket.
Oh well, it's. I mean, considering that otherwise we wouldn't have somebody who covers this bit. So
I'm covering the other bit. So. If you guys, Yoyo was also in Paleo Art workshop, so if you guys want to, go right ahead. Illuminate me.
Oh well.
Yeah, Yoyo, maybe you begin, because I don't want to talk about my own talk. And you didn't talk much on this podcast so far.
I mean, yes. Okay, so basically, you were first, right, on the workshop?
Yes.
Your talk. Okay. I think John couldn't pronounce your name. That was great.
God damn it! I missed it.
I think I was sitting on the same table with Jack and Mark Whitten, which was amazing.
Nice.
God damn. So Joshua's talk went in depth on the paleo streams, showed some basically all about the paleo stream. Was great. I was sitting there proud. smiling at him, but he didn't look at me. He looked at me once. So
Love
it was
story of
great.
the century.
I mean,
Yoyo fused with a table. He was really hard to see.
so basically, yeah, I was standing there proud. Well, sitting there proud. And he showed some art, stuff like that. Mine was in as well. So yeah, it was great. There were some questions about it afterwards. Like Mark, that was amazing. So Mark asked Joshua if he is planning on moving it to more appropriate times for Europeans, of course, because he said he's an old man and he can't stay to that long. Which was
Apparently,
great.
old people like Mark Whitten go to bed at 10 p.m.
Yes,
as we discovered.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. So yeah, there were some questions like how is she called? The person Paleoplushis.
Rebecca Groom.
Rebecca. Okay.
Yeah.
So she asked if she could get an invite. We figured that out. She's in the Paleostream server now.
Yeah.
Well, I missed that one.
That was nice. So till to that time, nobody knew what they're gonna draw really. So after that, John asked Joshua if he could set a theme for the workshop as a whole. So Joshua just suggested what I don't know if that was your plan, by the way. I actually thought you were gonna suggest something different, but oh well, that was like it's the same thing as we had on the previous challenge, the server challenge, but not with Megaraptorans, but with just everything, any prehistoric animal.
Yeah. It wasn't my plan because John didn't tell me that beforehand. And I think John himself didn't really plan on doing that. I think it was very spontaneous. And being just asked spontaneously, give us a topic. Okay, let's do what we did last time, basically.
Yeah.
But much broader. So
we got some incredible artworks out of that. I think we should add later on. Once we're done with the talks, we should share like some the 3 winning, at least the 3 winning ones. Which are incredible.
I didn't even know we should I didn't even know they were gonna pick. I was a bit confused about the winners thing, stuff like that. So I just drew Ceratosaurus in just a nice perspective. I don't even know. So that was cool.
I mean, I know Samantha drew an awesome Spinosaurus in an Egyptian style.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Back. Yeah.
Yes.
That one. Yeah. That one.
That's one of the winners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
The other ones later.
Yeah. I have the creeping suspicion that Yoyo's Ceratosaurus was inspired by the next talk, which was by
what next talk?
Jet Taylor. About his practice of creating small sculptures.
Oh yeah, didn't he have a Ceratosaurus head sculpted?
Yes.
Yes,
that's what he started with. He produced an extremely accurate or credible and all over incredible sculpture of an Ceratosaurus head. There are actually he has several more on the back burner of different ontogenetic stages and everything. There are pictures online. But it was the finished one he brought.
If I can find it. So basically what he went on about is here it is. So he said that he prefers his simplistic stuff, his fast sketching stuff, a lot more than big drawings. Well, not really, but that's kind of, I guess, the point. What he was trying to make. So he started working towards making I guess, faster and more simplistic, but quality art. So that's he talked about his dromaeosaurs, which are not really detailed. They're just the pattern with really nice, just really nice pattern and line art. That's basically it. I don't think there's any shading, isn't it? Isn't there?
No,
Or
no. There are
yeah.
only simple patterns. Always are very complex patterns on very simple forms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, he went on with the sculptures, and he started with this head. So he was like, he decided to just do simple but very, very beautiful sculptures, very aesthetically pleasing. God damn, those are so cute. I can't.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
seem so
it's-
satisfying to hold.
Yeah, he
That was, an
started with
Achero, that was an Achero raptor there, so I took a picture of that.
yeah.
of
So
course
he
it is.
started with dromaeosaurs. He works with Fimo, if I remember correctly, and from dromaeosaurs he went to mosasaurs.
Yeah,
They are,
and then to
most of them
plesiosaurs.
are quite small. He made even some baby mosasaurs, which are
Yeah,
just
like
I think
really tiny ones.
a few centimeters in length.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
He-
I
No
like
image
had
sharing.
an
the babies
interruption
on
on
the
my side. Yeah,
It's-
and from there he actually also made a larger mosasaur.
Yeah, it was quite big.
No image sharing, guys, though. So, oh well.
Well, no, we're just sharing so you guys can see. Achero and
Yeah, that's the
Armin.
point. The whole point is that this can be a stream people just listen to. But
No,
Fine,
fine.
okay, fine,
but
fine.
Armin hasn't seen anything of that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't
I mean,
count.
I've seen plenty on Twitter, and he also shared the mosasaurs and plesiosaurs and everything on Twitter, so
So how?
I know what they look
we
like.
also we talk about visual stuff, so we need to know that we talk about the same things, you know.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Akira, you are just wrong in this case.
You can't be wrong when you have the banhammer.
Oh god. Okay. So basically yeah, he just gave the Ceratohead to be tossed around. People were looking at it. I took a million pictures of just different angles of the head because that's super useful, like really, really useful.
Yep.
It's like you're scared that it's not that solid, right? Because you're super careful with it, but it seems super solid. It was very, very weird, holding something so valuable, I guess. So yeah, I think
Yeah, and the last thing he did just before TetZooCon basically is an elasmosaur.
yeah,
Yes, which is also incredible.
Yeah, I think the elasmosaur color-wise was my favorite because it looked kind
coffee
of
color.
coffee stained, like with a little big milk foam on top. So,
Yeah, it's a little bit in the background of the pictures you sent.
yeah. I will not post more pictures because
Yes.
somebody
No,
forbid it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So I think that's it for Jet, really. Yeah, if you think of anything else, Joshua, you
Yeah, after that we had talk by Rebecca Groom.
yeah. By then everybody was drawing. So yeah, I felt a bit bad for drawing and not looking at the like I looked, but I was looking most of the time, but I kind of felt bad drawing while she's talking. But oh well. She basically talked about the progress of making the plushies, which was very, very nice, very interesting, seeing how they're all handmade. I actually didn't know until Akira told me. before even the talks began. I think in the first place, he told me that they're all handmade. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
How? But yeah.
Well, the how was answered, definitely.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. I love her work. The plushies are just so great. So cute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She specifically for TetZooCon produced a new model, an Anchiornis, so she could document it really from beginning to start. The process.
Yeah, Achero got that one.
I got the Anchiornis. Yeah.
Ooh, you got one. Nice.
Yeah.
I actually saw how she gave the first one, the first that was ever made, Anchiornis or Anchiornis, I don't know, to Julia.
Anchiornis, yeah. Yeah, I heard.
Which was so cute. It was so adorable. Oh my god.
And I was just disappointed that my suggestion, which was Eretmor Hepus, wasn't picked.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
it
sad.
Got so many likes. But she picked.
Yeah.
Because she we should maybe mention that she asked weeks before TetZooCon, months before TetZooCon, what animal she could maybe do for TetZooCon.
Did she?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Bunch of ideas.
Oh well. That talk was very interesting.
Yeah, I saw the other Pisukas. Those are really cute.
Yeah.
Yes. I got a little more sore.
Yeah.
From her, I just couldn't resist.
Oh right, yeah, the small ones. Yeah. It's nice. And then next up, who was next up?
That one person that made the Megaloceros.
Yeah,
Agatha.
Stachowiak, yes. Rather elusive person. Not much can be found online, but
yeah, I was gonna say I haven't seen anything from her.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with her before as well, and she introduced us to her practice of sculpting extinct mammals. Oh, wait a moment, I will be back in a second.
All right. So yeah.
Well, wait up. We'll cut this bit out. We'll wait for Joschua to be back.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Okay.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah.
So wibbly wobbly.
Wibbly wobbly.
No. I'll do it so Joschua says just a second. I'll be back, and then okay, I'm back with about half a second in between, and then you can say that was quick, and then badumts.
Okay, don't cut any of that. Okay, so so next I think so is she what I got from her is that she isn't really into paleo art. She doesn't really do paleo art except that one thing.
Yeah, until that point she
hadn't done anything.
do much in that direction. So she taught herself very much this part of the family is just coming back and people running past my door. It's distracting.
She hasn't done any copies of it or anything like that. I mean, it's the original.
No, it's only one original.
Yeah.
She showed how through what trials and errors she went. To come to this really amazing Megaloceros model that she showed off. Yeah.
I cannot my brain can't handle that. This person has never really done paleo art, and the first thing they do is that.
Yeah.
Like what?
It was majorly inspired by an article that Darren posted.
Yeah, Darren, yeah.
Beforehand about Megaloceros cave paintings and the potential implications for the coloration and morphology of this giant deer. And since there are not many models or toys of Megalosaurus you can buy online, and all of them are crap usually. She decided, okay, I do one myself, and she already said she would like to do many more.
Yeah, that would be fun. She also said something like it took maybe 2 months or something, or maybe more. I don't remember quite right.
Yeah, I can't remember as well.
Yeah,
but it took a while. She really worked long on this one, with long pauses in between productive phases.
Yeah. So,
were there any more talks?
That was basically it. After that, we had in general little discussions, and me and Filippo Bertozzo, we introduced one of our ideas for an European Paleo Artist Association, but more about that later, I would say. Yeah.
Later,
that wasn't
get to hear it.
That wasn't officially part of.
Okay.
No.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Of the workshop, not podcast. What I'm here.
Yeah. So basically, it was free program from there. How was it? Maybe an hour or two.
So John brought a lot of material from last year as well.
You can work with everything basically.
Yeah. Bunch of materials, paper, different paper types, different pencils, and charcoal and stuff like that. And Agatha actually brought some Super Sculpey to try for yourself.
Yeah.
Which was nice. Yeah. But what happened in the other session?
Right. So the other session was so initially there was a talk on native amphibian conservation, which focused on Alice Paulick, who was the presenter, on her adventures, so to speak, in the conservation of the pool frog. I believe that's the genus, which has had a bit of a rocky history. And I believe it was actually extinct from the UK, and it is being reintroduced now.
Nice.
Or at the very least was almost done. Yeah, but it was originally native. So interesting stuff there. She worked on that over like the summer and the preceding year. Interesting about how, going out, catching the frogs, getting the pH right, putting them in, watching them grow, releasing them at the right time so that they can develop naturally in the wild, and so forth, and about the issues that amphibians face. Originally, there was supposed to have been a lot, but it had to be condensed to 15 minutes, unfortunately. So she focused on habitat destruction and pollution and viruses. The pollution and disease and all that went together because basically the thing is that pool frogs suffer from, I believe, ranavirus.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one. But the thing is that actually it's been shown that they can actually survive it quite fine. That they actually have natural defenses against it and they can survive it just fine. The issue being that pollution breaks down the antibodies in their skin. So that they excrete. So they can no longer produce and maintain the antibodies on the skin, and that's how the ranavirus gets in and kills them.
Damn.
So we're being forced to artificially protect the frogs because the pollution is just depleting their own natural antibodies. So yeah, that was very interesting about the relationship between pollution and the disease. So yeah, very interesting. Quite fast, as we said. It had to be compressed quite a bit, but very interesting nonetheless. Then Amber Eames came on and we started talking about natural history filmmaking. She gave a half-hour presentation on a film about swans that was recently made, is currently airing in certain parts of Europe. I'll explain where it's airing later. But basically what the film is about this population of swans whose name I cannot. Just a second. What wasn't it? It's Swan's Mystery of the Missing, which has just come out, and it's about a group of swans, the Buick swan, and basically the populations are in decline, and there's this big migration that they do as they fly 7,000 kilometers from, like, I think Russia down to the UK. So what they did was they actually sort of decided to, like, chronicle the journey and spent, I think, half a year. And one of the people working on the documentary, I think, like, producer or something, does paragliding of a sort, like powered paragliding. I don't know what it's called. Where you're, like, paragliding but with a propeller. And so she actually flew it along with them. And it's the film's a sort of half a document of this person's journey with it, and also at the same time there was the ground team, which was a group of scientists who are going along the route to talk with the people on the route, discuss it with them, try and raise awareness. There's some interesting stuff that has been raised since, like they raised this movement, which is like filming the migration and documenting stuff like ordinary people. And there's some quite shocking images of what happens when their migration route takes them through power lines. So we've got, like, birds just flying into it, just stopping dead, snapping their necks and all that shit, and just plummeting.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, yeah, it was deep stuff. And so, basically, currently it's actually airing in cinemas in countries that are along the flight path. That's the sort. That's where they've gotten it to be released, and it's being picked up for a UK release sometime. We're not sure when, but it is being picked up for a UK-based release. So, very interesting stuff there. Very interesting story as well. Yeah, so that was very much about the film. It was a talk really about the film and how to do, like, a conservation story and all that.
Yeah.
And Amber Eames stayed on after 1.5 hour talk was up for a 2-hour-long natural history filmmaking discussion with questions and answers, which featured Darren Naish leading it with Amber Eames, Zoe Cousins, Nick Lyon, and Paul Stewart. Amber Eames already said she works in documentaries currently. Well, they all do, obviously. I must apologize profusely to Zoe Cousins. I can't remember what she is currently doing at the moment. But Nick Lyon, his main talk was on the painted dogs, the African wild dogs, painted wolves, whatever you call them, episode of Dynasties, which he directed, I believe. Let me double check that he was busy. I know he was camera as well, but yeah, he produced it. He produced the Painted Wolf episode, and Paul Stewart did the Velvet Claw, which I believe many of you may know.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it was early 90s, I believe.
I think I'm not familiar with it, actually.
I think parts of it are on YouTube.
Oh yeah, it's all on YouTube now. Like, as of 2017, you have, like, the full episodes on YouTube. It was 1992.
Yeah,
1992. So
I actually have a picture which I sometimes use a profile picture from the documentary.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna share it because otherwise you will cut my head off or something.
Yeah, probably. I will insult your family. But
yes.
Okay. Anyways, so Velvet Claw 992 animation to reconstruct the extinct animals, like hand-drawn animation, I believe. Obviously it was long before Walk and Dinosaurs, like 7 years before that. So very interesting talk, lots of interesting stories, lots of humorous stories as well. Yeah, just all around very interesting. I can't really sum it up. You really had to have been there. But it was an interesting discussion of filming it and the issues, and a lot of humorous stories about, like, getting almost attacked by lions. But there was an interesting one that Nick Lyon gave about the Painted Wolf episode, about how, because they underwent a preparation process because they would have been filming them for about a year. Now, basically, they selected the Painted Wolf. There's this matriarch at the leader of a pack. Tate, I believe her name is. And she's got an incredible pack behind her, and she's also elderly. Like, she didn't have much time left, which is why they chose her. It's a bit morbid, but they chose her because they knew they would get a story out of her and be able to follow her life, essentially. I'm not going to spoil, how the documentary actually plays out. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's one of the best documentaries. It's one of the best instances of documentary I've ever seen. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Painted Dynasties? Armin?
I never got around to watching that.
The Painted Wolf episode is honestly fantastic. It's a really damn good episode. Yeah, so I was very pleasantly surprised to hear him talk about it. But basically what they did was they went on a training period where they would actually just because there was this one sort of park ranger who was very close to Tate. He'd been with her basically since she was born, who just introduced them all one by one to the dogs, and they were sort of accepted by the clan, and they would just go and have dinner with them and all that, just have a sandwich. During filming, they would just go out and sit with them so that they would be comfortable and not be thinking about them when filming various things like hunts, either hunting or being hunted, so that they would really be just okay with them. They had a car that was extremely noisy. The end result being that this played out perfectly because they could always hear it was them and just didn't even look up. When they filmed with drone shots because there was an issue, discussion about technology in modern day filming, natural history filming, and what they did was basically they went and introduced the drone to them. So they showed the drone, they did lift up, moved it around, and then they just never looked at it again because they knew it was just with them, so to speak. So very interesting about how they, just really got close with these, because they are predators, but they're just really harmless to humans unless you give them reason to be harmful, and you can just form friendships really easily. And that's how it was filmed. And it looks really natural. You wouldn't get, and there's a connection, of course, from the film, but that the whole point was that not to necessarily form a bond with them, but just really form nothing with them, to not scare them. And it's just really interesting talk overall. That aspect, and all the talks are really interesting. Not much more to say. A couple of questions asked, but that's it. Very interesting stuff. And I think that brings us to the end of day 1.
I think we should move on to day 2 because
yeah.
Oh, Armin, do you have any questions from what
Yes.
No, I think I followed this pretty well so far. Some interesting stuff, definitely.
Yeah.
So, definitely gonna try to join next year.
Good.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, all the podcast members next year. TetZooCon. Let's go.
Oh yeah, after
I mean, for the Americans, it'll be a bit tricky, but
yeah. Oh well, you guys have TetZooCon. I mean, you have SVP. What?
Do we though? It's not been. Has it been announced for next year? Is it 2020 and 2022 that have been announced or something? SVP, because I know that there's a year jump.
I think next year is in Cincinnati.
Let's see.
I remember. I mean, we talked about it even on Paleostream that Zomba wants to go there, for example, next year. And after that, it should be
Cincinnati, and then we have the 2022 one scheduled for Toronto.
Yes.
Yeah. And we don't have 2021 scheduled yet. That year has been skipped.
Okay.
Because basically the Toronto one is a sort of blessing for them because they weren't expecting it. SVP is a talk for another day on this podcast.
Indeed.
It went by. It happened. None of us were there. We just followed the tweets.
Yep.
Anyways, day 2.
Oh yeah. For the end of the first day, we had an paleo art exhibition and drink reception.
Yeah, which we're gonna discuss that when we talk about the more chill aspects, the non-talks.
Yeah,
went
just
on during the
so you know what.
Yeah.
By the way, Achero, just asking, did you get to see that?
I stayed through till the pub until 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so did Joshua, and you had fish and chips. But we'll get into that later. Oh God, I'm gonna. There's stories to be told about that, but
Indeed, very controversial.
Yep. That's one of the things. The other one is a particularly late burger, but we'll get to that as well.
Oh, yes.
With that tease, we move on to our unofficial part 2 of this video. I don't think we're going to make this a 2-part video, but...
Nah.
No. We've already got like too much time and stuff. We've got...
How long have we been going?
An hour.
Oh, damn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no matter what we do, we always seem to cross 1 hour.
Yeah. Well over an hour. So let's go to day 2. Did anyone do the crash course in Wikipedia?
I was gonna ask that. No. I didn't.
That's a shame. Anyways, there was a crash course in Wikipedia, but we didn't go on Wikipedia. I didn't have a laptop anyway, so I couldn't have personally. But anyways, so we're gonna ignore that because unfortunately we weren't able to attend and it was overlapping. But instead, we all attended the grouping, which was sort of about dinosaurs, essentially. Yeah, the first session was pretty much collection of talks was pretty much about dinosaurs. We started with an introduction by Darren Nash, and then went on to Chris Barker about diseases, injury, and the ecology of theropod dinosaurs. But I think it was more, and there was. I think that one might have also been originally longer, but it was shortened to just a discussion of the sort of ecology of fear. Long story short, so the talk started out by discussing instances of injury of predation. So we had a couple of examples, one of which sticks to mind is the Edmontosaurus with a bite mark with an injury in its tail.
Yes. Jack Horner's worst enemy.
Yeah. Apparently, fun fact, I've yet to double check this, but apparently, in the paper, it's the tooth in the tail has been identified as being from what may be a sub-adult T-Rex. So that's interesting stuff there. Yeah. I don't know, but anyways, so just a mention of like that injury, a couple of other injuries, but then the main body of the talk was the ecology of fear, which was the question of whether or not the stress of constant unexpected predation could contribute to disease. Which was quite interesting and very interesting when it actually went on. Basically, the hypothesis was, is it possible that the fact that you are under stress constantly because you never know when a theropod is going to attack you, going to contribute to not only mental but also physical deterioration in your well-being? The sort of hypothetical explanation for this would be that because you're always under stress, your body's always producing hormones and all of that. What was it? I have a note of this. I'm just going to check my notes. Prolonged exposure to the stress hormones released when you're under stress reduces the immune system because you're trying to conserve calories so that you can run away from predator. But constantly conserving your calories means you can't give these calories to your immune system, which always consumes calories to prevent against potential infection or other diseases.
Or disease.
Yeah, just anything. So that was the hypothesis. Long story short, there's really no evidence for it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of actually there's nothing to suggest that this hypothesis is the case in extant animals we can't really judge it in extinct animals. That's the issue because we don't know how the stress went. I mean, I guess someone hypothesized that maybe we could look at lines of growth, like if there was an arrest in the lines of growth or an increase in bone development might correlate to increased stress, but even then the increased stress will not necessarily contribute to disease or some sort of physical well-being problems. So we really can't prove it with any degree of accuracy. So yeah, that was honestly a bit of a twist. That was an emotional roller coaster of a talk.
Yes, it's true.
But yeah, no, that was good. That was very interesting.
Yeah, and of course there were mentions like intraspecific combat, like the bite marks on Tyrannosaur faces, and a few more examples of actual predation.
Yeah.
For example, there's apparently a hadrosaur skull with Tyrannosaur bite marks, healed bite marks.
Oh yeah. I know of that one. I think that may be the specimen that inspired March of the Dinosaurs because it's got a healed scar tissue, and that might be what they based their inspired their Montosaurus on. Yeah, it's got healed scar tissue. I remember there was a discussion of it, I think, in the late around like 2010 and all that.
When
it came out.
That?
It's already published, Yo-Yo. You've asked me that question too many times lately.
I think
just because you missed it doesn't mean it's unpublished.
True. Come on now. Don't judge me too hard.
There we go. National Geographic 2013. Dinosaur had the scar. It was detailed in the current issue of the journal Cretaceous Research. So yeah, it's been published in 2013.
Okay. Yeah, it was about to say National Geographic isn't really a paper.
Yeah, no. It was in. Yeah.
A journal where you can publish that stuff, but yeah. I just remembered. God, what was it? That chimera from Liaoning.
Oh, are you taking the Mickey with me? You do know you're referring to Archaeoraptor, right?
Yes.
Bane of my existence. But yes, I believe it may have had, or was it Nature? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was. There were articles in National Geographic about it.
Yes.
That got the attention of some experts who were like, "Oh,
it wasn't actually published because it was a press conference by National Geographic magazine. Then they featured it in an article,
and then some people came in and questioned it, and then it was all the hoax was all revealed.
Yeah.
Sad.
But yes, Archaeoraptor. Anyways.
So, next talk.
Rebecca Lakin, sorry again. Basically, these are all the people who were in the dinosaur roundtable discussion on parental care, evolution, dinosaurs and birds. So this was the first half of the talk was pretty much detailing the extreme variety of parental care in birds. You have some birds that will just, and also other archosaurs as well.
Yeah.
And even turtles as well. So about how there's all these different levels of parental care. Some will just build a nest and then lay their eggs in it. Some will just lay eggs without even building a nest, like turtles that just lay them in sand. Some will even rear them and maintain bonds, almost pretty much bonds as they are adults. Although I think that might actually just be a mammal thing. I think almost that stage is reaching birds, but I don't think any birds like maintain bonds with adults once they reach adulthood.
Yeah, I think what we can draw from this talk is it's probably more diverse and complicated than we imagine right now.
Yeah, and there's also not much evidence in the dinosaur record. That was sort of the second half. Like, we don't really know when this stuff originated.
Yeah.
A certain pattern we observe in the fossil record could be evidence for several different potential behaviors.
Yeah,
that's all.
I believe Alca Mahuevo was discussed with the Titanosaur eggs.
Oh yeah.
We really don't know actually what was going on. Like, we know that there were many eggs laid at this part, probably several at any one point in time. We don't know if they would have like patrolled the areas or if they would just have left them there to use like which one is it? Is it our selection, where it's just whichever selection method it is, where you just lay a ton of babies and then fingers crossed some of them will survive by themselves.
Yeah, our strategy. Yes.
Right, our strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, she also linked sexual dimorphism to
that was interesting.
Care, which I loved.
Let's see, what was the argument there again? It was that if you've got sexual selection, then you're less likely for the male to take part in child rearing.
You mean sexual dimorphism?
Sexual dimorphism.
Yeah.
Because
the larger the difference between the sexes, especially if the male is especially different.
Yeah.
Then
it suggests that the male will simply win the female over, mate with her, and then go and repeat this process many times with other females.
Yeah.
But if we see in stuff like gulls and birds like that, or animals like that will essentially mate for life, they're very similar.
Yeah, it's basically all about how early you can desert your offspring.
Yeah, that's the thing. That was it.
Please insert photo here.
Go on. I will allow it.
I don't have it right now.
Then I'm not allowing it. Too bad. Should have been prepared. No, I'm just kidding.
Now I am prepared.
Okay, let's do this. Sorry to everyone that I said, you can just listen to this, but guess what? You probably aren't because it's YouTube.
Just blame Joshua for it.
Yeah, please blame me.
Yes.
I'm not blamed enough.
Oh, I like the title.
Oh, we are sharing a slide, just a heads up, from Jordan Bestwick's talk. But yeah, about diets. You'll know the one. So yeah, that was it. Very interesting stuff. I mean, all of these talks have been very interesting stuff. I don't know why I need to keep repeating it, but yeah. So I think
it's a creme de la creme every year.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's move on to the last of our dinosaur talks, which was by Dave Hone, on defining dinosaurs, problems with terminology, where basically various stuff was discussed, such as, first of all, why terminology is important. For instance, the arctometatarsalia condition was discussed, where it's, the pinching of the inner bone of the inner middle metatarsal, the end result of which is an adaptation towards speed. You can just call it avometatarsalia, and you're done.
He basically addressed all the stuff that can get you annoyed if you're a real paleo nerd.
Yeah.
Terminology.
So basically, subadult, juvenile, adult, hatchling, fledgling, neonatal, all of these are just terms that don't have a strict definition. What is a subadult? And he gave instances of papers with various papers, all which have just contradictory definitions of subadult. One is a subadult. And there's one I loved, which is a subadult is a juvenile is anything less than a third the size of an adult. A subadult is anything between 1/3 and 2/3 the size of an adult. But there's no definition for what is between 2/3 and 3/3 the size of an adult.
Yeah.
So what if you're not yet full adult size, but you're more than 2/3 of the way there?
Yeah.
That was a big flaw. Yeah, so there's a lot of flaws there.
Stuff like semi-aquatic.
Semi-aquatic, yeah.
Elephants are semi-aquatic, apparently.
Foxes. What was it? That was one weird one. I think foxes was the one that are semi-aquatic because they could swim.
Foxes really were like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he specifically used here the example of Spinosauroids.
Yeah, which he published a recent paper on.
Yeah, and how difficult it can be to use the term semi-aquatic.
Is that the paper he published with Holtz?
I think so.
I think because the whole thing is that people whose surnames begin with H hate the idea of swimming Spinosaurus. You've got Henderson, Holtz, and Hone, all of whom have published papers against semi-aquatic Spinosaurus. But anyways,
I wouldn't say against them, but Henderson, yes, but I think the other two are more like be cautious with your terminology, and it's maybe more diverse than you think.
Yeah. But and the other one was, I believe, social. Like, to what extent are animals social? Like, you have cheetahs and leopards that are extremely aggressive towards each other, but then will occasionally team up and hunt in groups. And then there's, of course, the issue.
We're not gonna. 1 second.
What?
There was this diagram which showed.
Yes, I was getting to that. Depending on the animal and the gender, the sex, and their stage in their life, you can be forming all sorts of different groups. If you're a solitary female looking for a mate, you're solitary. If you've got offspring, you're with your offspring. Offspring may go on alone if they're males. If they're females, they may go together and look for a group of males. The males may stick together as brothers and go off by themselves. Other solitary males may join them and form brothers. These aren't families though, because they're not related by blood. So the whole thing. And he used an example of these 3 tyrannosaurid tracks moving together. And the paper not only argued that they were moving together and were a family, but that this was behavior that could be applied to all tyrannosaurids.
Yeah.
Based on 3 footprints that may or may not have been from animals moving at the same time.
Yeah.
So basically, behavior is too complex to simply infer on something based on footprints. And
to just say social or not social.
Yeah, and especially to apply it to wider taxonomic groups.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that pretty much sums up the whole talk. A bit of a change of pace from the other ones, but still a lot on terminology. But still about dinosaurs and all that. Interesting stuff. Terminology also tied back to the roundtable discussion. There were mentions there of like social groups and all that. And then we had lunch. And then we got to, I think, our most hands.
Wait. I didn't tell you what I ate.
indeed.
Oh yeah, of course. Let's not forget about the important details.
I ate a sandwich.
Me too this time.
Thanks for telling us, Yoyo.
God, I ate a sandwich too. Okay.
I was probably still asleep by that point, so.
Good boy.
That's great. So, then we had a talk by Jordan Bestwick, which was from him about his PhD, I believe, which is unpublished yet. This is the one where we share a certain slide. So yeah, sorry, but this is like the last image we'll probably be sharing. I think. It'll be the last image we're probably sharing.
You're
Joschua,
probably celebrating internally, aren't you?
Yeah. Joschua, do you have it ready? You know which slide I'm talking about.
I'm not sure what slide you're talking about.
Okay, fine. I'll find the. Fine. I'll add the slide. Where are we? Podcast image channel.
Just ask me. I feel them.
But I'll spoil it because you won't understand which one it is and you'll push the wrong one.
No, don't worry.
I am worrying though, very much.
Fine.
I don't have it.
What? Do you want the beginning slide?
Shame.
No, I want the slide.
The slide.
But
You know which one? The one
slide?
the one that can be taken out of context.
I'm not sure if I have that.
Wait, are you talking about the texture of the tooth thing?
Why am I asking you to publish the embargoed slides, Yo-Yo?
Okay, no image. Continue on.
But I'm just curious
No.
what can be taken out of context, so I'm waiting.
Joschua. I'm gonna DM Joschua.
Waiting.
Yes.
Oh, that one.
That one was from Bestwick's slide, because he starts out by talking about various means of modeling what an animal's diet is. He gives an example where like Camarasaurus and I believe Diplodocus were modeled for bite force and stress on the skull to see what stresses they could handle, and therefore reverse engineer what bite force they were probably exerting on their food to calculate that Camarasaurus was probably tackling harder food, whilst Diplodocus was probably tackling lighter, easier to munch food.
Yeah.
And then he spoke of another talk where they analyzed, I don't remember what genus, but they analyzed, the whole issue is what reference points do you use to calculate sort of the skull strength. And they used an extant species, and I love the slide, so share it, Joschua.
I don't have it.
Well, that's dead in the water.
So basically this entire talk was for nothing.
No.
No, it was awesome.
No, I mean like this entire discussion, like right now.
No.
No, but actually yes.
I have it.
He has it.
I'm waiting.
Somewhere. Please cut here.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Yes, that's me, Barbie. That's...
Yeah. So yeah,
Now I remember what. Yeah.
The context. Yeah, they used humans to model an extinct, I believe, dinosaur bite structural strength of the skull.
Yeah.
I don't remember what genus it was.
It was on pterosaurs.
A pterosaur, right? Okay.
Yeah. They had different skulls of theropods, modeled them digitally, or scanned them, and for the model, you have to, in your mathematical model, you have to add the bone strength. And instead of looking at birds, for example, they used the bone strength of humans.
Yeah. And then Jordan went on to talk about his use of what was it? Dental microwear textural analysis on toothed pterosaurs to figure out the diet, and it's some really interesting finds. Lots of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And damned if we're telling it to you, because it's all embargoed, and we're privileged, so we're definitely respecting that embargo because
you can find a few things already online if you really look for abstracts for conferences, but we leave that to you guys.
Yeah, and I don't think they're gonna be this stuff anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so we can't talk about that one very much, but that's very nice. Yeah, okay, we should hurry a bit. Then that was the last paleontology talk, and then we had Amy Schwartz come on for a half hour talking about Project Splatter, which used citizens to monitor wildlife roadkill. So we would record the data of roadkill that was spotted on the road. And then there was a lot about sort of figuring out how much of the data is reliable. So figuring out how long it takes for a scavenger to eat it, pretty much.
I assume this comes into play with Darren's mention of pheasants in the UK.
Oh, yeah. You said pheasants, right?
Yes, pheasants.
Okay,
yes.
I heard peasants and did a bit of a double take.
Me too, for some reason.
Yeah.
Don't you know peasants are bred and raised in captivity and then...
Oh no, that's horrible.
And every year in spring, giant flocks of peasants roam the country and jump in front of cars, not knowing what might hit them.
Why am I imagining that? That's so terrible.
So a lot about scavengers.
And for some reason, I imagine all the peasants from Monty Python and the Holy Grail right now.
Okay, but yeah. So that was it. Project Plateau went on about that and sort of trying to figure out and calculate all that stuff.
Yeah.
I believe the results there were also embargoed, so we can't talk much about that. I think there was no tweeting on that. Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
So
which brings us to the coffee break.
Yeah. And then beyond the coffee break, which was another half hour, we have
Lauren. What did you have for your coffee break? No, let's
Lauren McGuff.
Nothing. I said nothing.
Lauren McGuff, I believe that's the pronunciation.
I would say so.
On golden and crowned eagle predation, specifically hunting.
Wait. Hold up. Wasn't 2 p.m. the time that they chose the winners?
Oh yeah, they did. They chose the winners.
That too, yeah. The winners for the Paleo Art Workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to share a picture? Does anyone have a picture ready of like the 3 Paleo Art winners?
You should have one.
I have one where I'm even on the picture and I look very sad and angry at the same time.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I have too many pictures. Let me see. Where do I have it?
I'm gonna take it from your Twitter, Joshua, if I find it.
Yeah, or that.
No, I can't find it. Perfect. Where is it?
Where do I have it?
God damn it.
Show yourself! Ah, there it is.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. So we have...
As you can see, I'm about to murder everybody in that room.
That is a death stare if I ever saw one.
Yeah.
Out of
So
frustration.
As you can see, that's an incredible Confuciusaurus done in Chinese style, and a fantastic Spinosaurus in Egyptian style, Spinobec, and a Lialanosaura in Australian style, which is also incredible.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, all well and truly winners. There was also a winner awarded for 3D art.
Yep.
Do we have a picture of that? Or
I don't
I can
know.
post a picture. I have a picture.
I forgot to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this year we had 4 winners because Agatha brought some polymer clays to experiment with, and so we had also a 3D prize.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, nobody would be able to say we would ignore sculptures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I still really want to try doing sculptures at one point, but
so it was Suchomimus. Was it the Suchomimus skull on display? There was a big Suchomimus skull on display or something.
Yeah, there was a Suchomimus skull. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and apparently the jaw's closed and got like a fishtail in it. I hadn't noticed that detail before. Right now.
Not sure how I didn't notice it so far, but okay.
The lower jaw is quite thin. Like, this is side view. Pretty much.
Oh, I thought it was only the
I thought it was only the upper jaw, yeah. With like some weird Jurassic Park backwards pointing teeth, like
and
raptors.
Now I understand what these little things are. That's a fin of a fish.
Yes.
That it swallows.
Yes.
Ah.
Okay, so the one guy who realized what that was the guy not present at TetZooCon.
Yes.
Good to know.
Yeah. Armin, see, that's why we need you here.
Exactly.
We need your eagle eyes.
Next year.
Which brings us to the next talk about golden eagles and crowned eagles.
Yeah. So Lauren McGuff does falconry and all that stuff, but with eagles. So eaglery, I believe that's the technical term, but please don't quote me on that. Would that make her an eagler? I'm getting off topic.
Yes.
So she went to Mongolia, hunted with with golden eagles. Lots of talks there about how it works. You know, you trap an eagle as it flies by. You don't take like the babies or anything, none of that Hollywood stuff. You actually take down a young sub-adult female, because the females are the big ones. And you take it down, and then you spend about a month making it, okay with you. And then you sort of teach it that if it hunts, it will get food, and it's just doing what it does naturally. So it's going to be like okay with it. So they hunt for foxes, not for food, just for fur. I believe the food is left for the bird at a later date.
Basically, both have benefits. That's the thing. You need to learn.
Exactly.
You need to teach the ego that.
Also, quite interesting, I think, is that they don't keep the eagles. They are released after usually a year.
Yeah, they'll spend like maybe a few years, and then release them. And that leaves them with well over a decade left in their life, because these guys lived like 30.
Know eagles lived for so long, by the way.
Yeah.
She mentioned something like 30 years or something?
Yeah, 30 years, I think, for golden eagles.
Like
roughly.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah.
And then also talks about helping with rehabilitation of eagles in South Africa, because South Africa is sort of the pioneer in helping eagles. So rehabilitate after injury, because when an eagle is injured, it can't hunt. So it has to be taken in to be kept alive, but it loses the ability to hunt and the musculature to hunt. So they need eaglers to help them hunt again. And she just talked about, how the process was about helping this eagle. I can't remember what species of eagle it was. Hunt the again, and how it just crowned eagle, just really blown away with just the size of prey, can tackle down prey like heavier than itself. It's really impressive.
And she talks
I think
a lot
it took down like
about
a spotted hyena or something.
Yeah, she talks a lot about how the often discussions about the prey that an eagle can take down are circling around if an eagle can carry away the prey or not. But that's not really important for the animal. If the eagle can kill the prey, it will do so, and maybe consume it on sight or carry away little bits to the nest.
Basically, she said something like 90% of eagle kills are actually something that they can't carry as a whole.
Yeah.
Which is really a lot.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it. Penultimate talk up next. Ross Barnett on the missing links, specifically which talks about the history and future of lost mammals. So for the talk, Ross Barnett talked about several Ice Age grade mammals that have since gone. There was talk of the hyena, I believe, because that one's also very significant for the history of paleontology, because they were discovering these hyena skulls, cave hyena skulls in caves. And there was
hyena.
Yes.
Right, yes. I'm gonna have to censor that. Thank you.
Boy, you guys keep making it hard for Achero to do this.
Yeah. Moving on from and the other interesting thing was that more important than the hyena coprolites, which weren't actually that important, Joschua, so swear word invalidated. Basically, there was the whole issue about like people were claiming, but the flood maybe washed these hyena skulls from Africa. But the point was that along with the bones, they found bones of animals that were gnawed and bitten, and
coprolites.
But more importantly, the bones that were gnawed and bitten, and so the guy went and actually fed hyenas bones to see the marks it would leave, and saw that actually matched up. So this was actually the food of the hyenas. So they were actually living in the den and eating in the den. So they were actually native to Britain.
And the den.
Yes.
Right. So Joshua's last podcast with us. But maybe not.
And hopefully not.
I shall return with an army of my brethren. No, please carry on.
What other general were discussed? Others as well. I don't remember. No. I don't
there were
remember.
more, yes. The lynx was mentioned, of course.
Yeah, but it wasn't discussed like the causes for extinction, I don't think.
Yeah, which is weird because it's part of the title.
But anyways, the lynx did come into play because he pointed out that actually the lynx would be the easiest animal to sort of reintroduce to Britain because it's small.
Yes.
It doesn't pose a threat to humans. It doesn't need that much, like not like a bear or a moose where they need a damn lot of food and all that. You just need to have farmers be okay with potentially eating their sheep. And there were various ways around
chickens.
that.
I don't think.
Or the chickens, yeah. True, before it wouldn't take on street sheep. That's more. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be very rare that a lynx would take down a sheep.
Yeah.
They go usually more for prey that is smaller than themselves.
So chicken,
like
geese, ducks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and in terms
just
of
coming to mind
animals,
because
chickens.
Something killed a chicken earlier, though I suppose it was a bird of prey actually.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I gotta hurry like a lot.
Okay. Why? Do you need to go?
Well, cause it's like 9, and I'm.
Okay, don't worry. Okay, trust me. So yeah. And then there was the also a few mentions to like rewilding, like the Pleistocene rewilding experiment that's going on, where actually the environment is benefiting from the reintroduction of bison and other animals that formerly, inhabited those ranges.
Yeah.
So yeah, because they're like trotting up the soil, and they also even help remove the snow and help actually the permafrost stay cool and not melt. So all around very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we will hurry. So there was a break here, book signings and all that, time to peruse stalls. half-hour break. And then we had our final talk, which was Tim Haynes.
And the crowd went absolutely bananas.
Absolutely wild when his name was mentioned. Incredible. Anyways,
of course,
Yo-Yo,
I was the most excited about out of all people.
Of course, having seen Walking with Dinosaurs, it must have been. It really was a big part of your childhood, Yo-Yo. And on that note, since you said you were running out of time, goodbye, Yo-Yo, because I'm kicking you. Because how dare you meet Tim Haynes whilst not having watched Walking with Dinosaurs?
Goodbye, can I just mention how it was funny that in the last video, or like the Walking with Dinosaurs video, we never specifically stated that Yo-Yo didn't watch it, but Sassy did, and everyone was just having a go at Sassy for not having seen it.
Yeah. Now I think...
I mean, Sassy it's so much easier to do it with Sassy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
now
I mean, that's
now
true.
It's your turn, Yo-Yo. How dare you not have watched it?
Shame!
Guys, I swear.
And he's gone. Anyways. So now that it's just the three of us, Tim Haynes.
Yes.
So the topic of the talk was Walking with Dinosaurs to Dinosaurs in the Wild, 20 years of popular digital paleontology.
Yeah. That was the title, but we didn't really talk about dinosaurs.
That wasn't actually the title on like the poster or anything.
Yeah.
It was just a clickbait.
Yeah, actually, basically. But it was very well timed. This being his first appearance at TetZooCon, seeing how it has been 20 years. Obviously, we did a video. It's actually extremely well timed. That's also the 20th anniversary.
Indeed.
So, shall we go through his talk? I mean, this was the big one. It's
a big one, indeed. Yeah.
He started with talking about Walking with Dinosaurs, obviously.
Yeah.
And so the production that went into that, there was quite interesting stuff about the technological limitations a lot. Like, for instance, they couldn't have many animals on screen.
Yeah, and what I, for example, found especially interesting, they weren't able to give the animals fur, especially the mammals.
Correct, just glitched, guys.
Oh. Yeah, we have Georg though. I think banning Yo-Yo may have been a bad idea with hindsight.
Okay, yeah, we are relying on you, Georg.
Oh, ha.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of which, actually, kicking Yo-Yo right now was kind of well timed, which is in that he can't stay longer because of time zones, unfortunately. So
time zones
Yo-Yo says goodbye. Yo-Yo says goodbye to everyone, and he'll probably see you in the next one. Like we
goodbye, Yo-Yo.
Like we always say we do, and yet it's never guaranteed.
Yeah. The only one who's pretty consistent is Achero.
You've been pretty damn consistent too. You've not missed one yet.
No, I'm pretty sure I missed at least one of them.
Nope, you've not.
Yes, the first art challenge video.
True. Well, I guess I have to miss one now just to make it even. Anyways, Tim Haynes, back to that. So, technological limitations. One, you couldn't show many dinosaurs on screen. You couldn't show like big herds or anything, which is an issue. Like, you couldn't do like migration stories or anything like that.
Yeah. And a big problem for furry or feathery stuff was that they didn't have fur or feather shaders back in the day. So what they did is they painted the animals like they looked furry, and then added a filament outline.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the feather crest on the Forest Raccoons.
Yes, that too. Where like the body is just paint texture of feathers, but then you have a few feathers on the head. Another interesting technological issue was that you did not have automatic camera tracking back then. Because basically what that happens is that nowadays you can, if you have like a moving camera in a shot and you want to add a CG element, you can plug it into software which will track the movement of the environment, and in doing so create the movement of a camera, and then you can have a camera in the computer filming the computer-generated object. So the computer-generated object matches the real world. You couldn't do that back then. You had to manually move a virtual camera for every frame.
Yeah.
So what they did instead was they took various pictures, and they're of like almost panorama, so to speak, to use an example, various pictures, and then stuck them together and created a circular sort of environment in the computer, and then could just move around a virtual camera at will by creating sort of stitched together multiple stills version of it. The issue, of course, being that if you take one picture and then another picture and then a third picture, during that time the clouds will have moved over the sun and it will no longer be consistent. So a lot of trial and error there. Here's a fun fact. That same technique was used for Dinosaur Evolution. If you watch the behind the scenes video, which you can't anymore because it's been taken off YouTube, they show that they actually use the same technique. And you can notice it in the show, and it actually kind of bugs me now that I know. There is never any rotation of the camera. There's only panning movements from left to right.
True.
Yeah. And digital zoom and all that. Like zoom done in post. There's very few shots as well of like movement of trees because it's all done with like pictures. You really won't get like rustling of leaves and all that. There's a couple of exceptions. For instance, the Larinia episode was actually filmed on a set. They didn't actually go out in nature to film that one. So they actually had the freedom to film.
That's why it feels so small.
Yeah, they just built the waterhole set. So they have like the leaves. This isn't TetZooCon stuff. It's just stuff I know.
It actually feels like a stage.
It does, which I kind of like. It creates a sort of... I kind of like it, personally. I mean, but I just generally like the episode all round, so I'm probably just making allowances for it. But
yeah,
I'm
not so fond on that, but okay.
Yeah. You don't like that episode?
Yeah,
if you've done that, that's
I
fair.
like the stage-like feeling for paleo art 3D, 2D stuff.
Right.
But I don't like it in film. Doesn't really work for me.
I'd probably just like it because it's actual in-camera movement, unlike the rest of the show, which is just pictures, stills.
Yeah.
If you rewatch the show knowing it, it will stick with you now.
No,
I've just ruined Dinosaur Evolution for the lot of you. So I'm glad you enjoyed watching the NHC podcast.
No. That's something I didn't notice it before you mentioned it, but it's true that compared to Walking with Dinosaurs, Dinosaur Revolution experiments much less with camera movement.
Yeah. Because of this sort of style, I guess. I'm guessing it was a choice. But it's
I mean, stuff. Walking with Dinosaurs original had so much more technical constraints, and yet they did so much more cinematography. Yeah.
Cinematography is the one part that Tim Haynes did not touch upon, which I kind of disagree with. I think cinematography is Walking with Dinosaurs' greatest feature. I think it's the only thing that has never been replicated. There's only one documentary that has managed to capture the feel of watching a nature documentary, and I think that's Ice Age Giants, where every shot of the mammals looks, and probably just the effort they went to, like you can see the mammoths walking inside actual bison herds. You can see there's this one shot of a saber-tooth taking down a zebra.
Yes.
A horse, which is just rotoscoped. So like they animated this on top of a video of a lion taking down a zebra. So that's why it feels natural, because they actually went to the effort of looking at nature documentaries and trying to replicate them, which I feel only it and Walking with Dinosaurs have actually done.
Yes.
Yeah, just there are a lot of shots in Walking with Dinosaurs which do not feature dinosaurs, for example, which look fantastic. Many of the title cuts, for example, the opening to Spirits of the Ice Forest is just superb.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Haynes mentions that a lot, that filming on site in a potential environment that could still exist adds a lot to it. And after we went over Walking with Dinosaurs and the production and challenges they faced and all the money it took.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't take 15,000 a second. They did not get...
Yeah, they first asked the company that did Jurassic Park if
Industrial
they could
Light
do
Magic.
that.
Yeah, ILM.
The price was just enormous. Yeah. And after we went through that, Tim Haynes showed a bunch of example other documentaries, which I very much liked.
Yeah.
To show the differences and benefits, but a lot of
not really benefits.
The drawbacks of using other techniques.
So his first up was Clash of the Dinosaurs. And I quote him saying, like, he showed us that to show how wide the Atlantic is. That over there they like it rough, basically. Like it rough and bitey or something. Because it is an incredible difference. He showed us the opening sequence of one of the episodes. Just insane. I mean, and he made the point that, you know, the intro scene, says that, groundbreaking, advances in technology, we can study them in a new way. We can take off the skin, we can look at the muscles and everything. And he points out that actually this is just a much more cost-effective way. It's not breakthroughs in technology at all. It's just really cheap-ass work because you're just doing a static model and that's it. Your job is done.
Yeah.
And he drew an interesting line sort of between this style of documentary and Clash of the Dinosaurs, which he argues is actually like predates Walking with Dinosaurs in the sense that it's similar to the original sorts of paleo documentaries, which were sort of, what was it he called, like exhibition sort of things, where like you have scientists
skeletons, having experts talking about them, and
then representation of it, not an actual showing of it, but just a sort of illustration. They're
so more like Paleo World, for example.
Yeah, Paleo World is a good example.
Yeah, and instead of illustrations, they switch them out for little CGI short clips.
Yeah, but still, really, examples, illustrative stuff, just a fanciful portrayal, not a sort of realistic, essential, immersive. And that's what he thinks Walking Dinosaurs. He views Walking Dinosaurs as the first immersive production about dinosaurs.
Yeah,
because
of course, one of the benefits he mentions that, and it's all often forgotten, is Walking with Dinosaurs was the first production to ever do that.
He does keep coming back to the novelty of Walking Dinosaurs. Like, Walking Dinosaurs did do incredibly well because of the novelty of it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the immersive and all that, he then went on to the other extreme of the spectrum, from the illustrative exhibition sort of dance documentary like Clash of the Dinosaurs, where it's the hyper-real of Planet Dinosaur, where everything is moving, the camera's moving, you're really in the middle of it, there's no sense of the cameraman at all. It's just really, you're in the midst of it, and everything is CGI. So it's not that the dinosaurs are trying to look realistic, you're making reality look like the dinosaurs. And we don't question it because we become immersed in the dinosaurs' world, not that the dinosaurs become immersed in our world sort of thing. It's just a very different approach. And that's the sort of hyper-realism where everything is structured and everything is sort of designed. So yeah, that was Planet Dinosaur. He showed us the clip of the Spinosaurus versus the Carcharodontosaurus.
Yeah.
Not much to say there, or entirely valid points, of course.
Yeah, and there are sometimes hybrids like the...
Yeah, he mentions the NHK being a hybrid between hyperrealism and photorealism, for example.
Yeah, by which he means literally, like in a single shot, like the beach is real, the waves are real, the dinosaur is fake, and the trees are also fake. So it's a sort of, the trees being fake is a sort of bridge between the environment being real and the dinosaurs being fake.
Yeah. Which can also lead to interesting things like a hadrosaur going to a real bush and picking off just one little branch.
Yeah, he did not hesitate to call that out. I'm not going to keep it full for long. And he called out the NHK basically. Like he said the models are great, obviously, but the animation is just very rubbery. Yeah. He showed the example of the great dinosaur discovery of Japan with a hadrosaur now named Kamuisaurus.
Yeah. No. Overall, I think it's Tim Haynes is really conscious about the strengths, but also weaknesses of Walking with Dinosaurs and its follow-ups.
And then his last example was from Tree of Life, where it's just the scene of this theropod sparing a Parasaurolophus's life. And he uses to illustrate that actually emotion can be just as important as like technical, if more so than technical achievement. And as in just showing the dinosaurs by themselves won't work. You need the emotion in it as well. And I believe this is where he referred to like Walking Dinosaurs 3D, which he also showed a clip of actually with dialogue, which was painful. About how they made Walking Dinosaurs, showed it to a test audience, and we're not sure, of course, if the test audience really believed it should have had voices, or if they were fed leading questions in the sense of like, what do you think could be improved, putting them on spot, but that's just hypothesizing, we really don't know. Basically, the test audience allegedly said, that it could be improved with voices, and so the studio just leapt at that opportunity and added voices over the already existing footage. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. His sort of conclusion was emotion's good. Always, you need the science and all that, but to create a good documentary, it has to be engaging. You need like the reason why Tree of Life sequence works so well is because there's an actual proper director at the helm who knows what he's doing.
Yes, that's I think one of his main points were that if the money is there and technology is definitely there, you need just a producer or someone in charge who really has a vision.
I would say that's that's a director more than producer as well. Like, if you think about the shows that really do have visions, like Dinosaur Revolution as well. Coming back to Dinosaur Revolution, we don't necessarily like the vision it had. And the vision was screwed over massively by the company, but it had a vision because it had a proper director in the form of David Krentz, who actually had like an idea of where it was going.
Yeah.
So whether or not you like it or not, you've got to admit that at some point there was a proper vision.
I think Dinosaur Revolution is really a major example where you see sometimes you just have to let the artists do what they do best. And not screw it over with your corporate ideas.
Yeah, so.
And all your
own. The BBC didn't.
We have a target audience. We need to make it all funny and kid friendly and stuff like that. You don't need that.
I wonder what's that referring to.
But yeah, and like looking
Let's not talk about that.
Now, it was both produced and directed by the same people. So Tim Haynes and of course Jasper James.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and they had cinematographers as well, so all proper stuff. Like the money is not that much of an issue, is what he concluded. It's the talent behind it. That's
or not even the talent, the effort put into it.
The effort as well. Yeah. Talent in terms of animators.
Yeah,
like you can buy all the animators.
We have talented people. We have the technology. We just need people who really put effort into their products.
Yeah.
And are passionate about it. The people who make the artwork, but also, of course, the people who are directing. And you can't have just the channel or studio coming in and saying, but we now have to make it interesting also for the 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
That's you try too many things at once otherwise. Too many interests are colliding.
Yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen, basically.
It always shows, and it always shows in the results as well, like from the views and all that. Walking with Dinosaurs 3D did not make its money back. Dinosaur Revolution killed off other dinosaur series that were in the works.
Yes.
There was one over in Discovery Channel about ornithopods that was in the works, and then Dinosaur Revolution came out.
Yeah. I think a good example is also, for example, Samurai Jack, where you have a producer with a vision, and everything else is basically done by the artists. Even large parts of the story are directly developed on the storyboard. It's from the very start based in a visual medium without a script that says, okay, we have to do that and that, without really knowing if it would translate into the visual medium.
Right.
Yeah,
nice.
I think that's...
well, and then he concluded by mentioning that there are 4 new big-budget dinosaur documentaries in the works. Not going to get too much into hypothesizing what they could be because we don't want to spread like false hopes and all of that.
Yeah.
I just want to debunk one, which is sort of, he mentioned a crossover between NHK and Curiosity Stream, which is very likely referring to Dinosaur Superworld, which we've already covered, because Dinosaur Superworld has now gotten its release in English on Curiosity Stream as Amazing Dino World. That show is never going to get a break with ridiculous titles, but
I actually really prefer Dinosaur Superworld.
Dinosaur Superworld is the best one they've come up with. I mean, we've got Dinosaur Superworld versus Amazing Dinosaur World and Mega Diverse Dinosaur World.
Yeah,
as
that's
the three
just...
titles.
How about, for once, a title without dinosaur?
Well, we've got Prehistoric
Don't
Planet.
Don't be ridiculous.
We have got Prehistoric Planet.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Which could be one of the three big budget ones that are coming out. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, 3 big budget ones plus the now released.
I actually know about one of
NHK.
the things he mentioned, and I actually even saw a little bit of that, but I can't tell you anything about it.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I also have embargoed upcoming Dinosaur Paleomedia news, which I won't tell you about. So
I have even more.
I have
Stay
nothing.
tuned for next month. Oh, Armin, you poor boy. Well, you should come to TetZooCon.
Yes, I should. I definitely should.
Anyways, so yeah, and I do want to draw attention to some of the questions that were asked of Tim Haynes, specifically one in particular, which I loved his answer to, which is, what would you change about Walking with Dinosaurs given the chance?
Oh, yes.
The first answer being immediately Polar Allosaur, which I think is incredible. Because obviously Tim Haynes, put a lot of work into like the science and all that and discovering and the accuracy of all the creatures, but that he still kept up with it, because Polar Allosaur was fine at the time, but with hindsight, not the best choice to go with, given that it's just a bone and all that. So, and it's probably no longer an Allosaur. So I'm just really damn impressed that that's the first one he said, Polar Allosaur, because it is.
Yeah, he also mentioned, obviously, the Postosuchus being, which is a pretty well-known one.
Yeah, that one didn't impress me as much because that one was actually called out like the moment the show aired.
Yeah.
The other one that he also pointed out was the Coelophysis cannibalism, which is outdated as well. So yeah.
Which are pretty reasonable changes. I mean,
all 3 reasonable, all 3 accurate.
Yeah. I would probably have mentioned
Pleurodon size would also come to mind.
Concerning T-Rex, but well.
I would go with Leopleurodon and Ornithochirus sizes, especially Leopleurodon, because that one's just sinful.
Yeah.
But yeah. And that pretty much concludes the talks.
I can live with it. Indeed. After that, we had the annual Tetrapod Zoology quiz.
Yeah.
With amazing prizes.
Yep. And then dinner. So actually, speaking of this, shall we go through our experiences? This is the part where we brag to Armin about what happened to us.
Yeah, that's why we have Armin here.
Yeah.
So you can brag to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise it's just into the void, It's
yeah, otherwise it's just circle.
Yeah.
Do you have to censor that?
I'll see. I don't know.
Just put one of my noises over it.
Just put an "oh-ha" over it.
That would be fitting, but no. No, you missed the noises, Armin.
Okay.
That's the case going in the
It's actually the 3rd time we tried recording or something. 2nd time?
This is the 2nd time. The first time you had to leave, then Yoyo was having terrible echo, and then there was a fire alarm. But that's going to be in a blooper video sometime down the road.
It wasn't
Anyways,
ideal.
We've passed the 2-hour mark. So let's get through our personal stuff, I guess. TetZooCon, Saturday. That was great. Lunch, we bought stuff, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
We did. I bought the Anchiornis, as mentioned earlier. Did you buy a paleo plushie, Joshua?
I haven't bought a paleo plushie so far, except for the very first Anorognatus.
That's good first.
Yeah, because I bullied Rebecca basically into producing that finally.
Nice.
So I also got the first one.
I got Paleoartist Handbook and of course #Paleostream, the book.
Oh right, yes.
Good one.
Yeah.
I sold 10 copies
Nice.
of the book. No, I had 10 with me, 9 were sold, and they were actually not the official ones. They were produced by Gareth Monger, because I wanted to purchase some online to have some for TetZooCon, but online shop went wrong at some point. I have no idea what happened, but my books never came, and thankfully I also didn't lose money. But at the moment I mentioned, I realized it. It was too late, and I cried a lot about it online. Not really, but Gareth contacted me, and he's working at a coffee shop, and
nice.
they also produce books there. So
wow, okay, that was fortuitous.
Yeah, so he asked if, hey, can you give me just the PDF for the book, and I will print a few. Yeah, and I actually think his version turned out better than the official one.
Well, I'm glad I got it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I got Witten and Joschua both to draw Rahonavis so that I can compare. So, yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah. I decided to mark 2019's TetZooCon with Rahonavis because also it was Witten's first time drawing it ever. So I was like, that's quite fitting. Yeah. It was interesting because the way Witten would always draw his things is he'd just look up a skeletal of it always, and then he'd just like repose a skeletal mentally and draw over that, which is impressive. So yeah.
Well, that's how I do it usually as well. So.
So.
But not on a conference.
Yeah.
I don't look at my phone when I sign books.
Well. Step up your game. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I try to do this from memory if I can.
Yeah.
I also did a saber-tooth cat in one of the books I signed. I think it was.
I think I saw it.
It was Jack's.
Right.
Jack Wood's.
Nice.
Copy.
He would ask for that, wouldn't he?
Of course. Actually, he didn't ask for it. But he was like, "Oh, do whatever you want." Yeah, and overall, we should maybe mention the paleo artist density this year. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, for you it was the first time, but
yeah,
for me,
true.
compared to the previous 2 years, it was damn high. Quite a few people were there that haven't visited TetZooCon before. Like nice. Ville and Maya.
Right.
Then, of course, we had Jack Wood, we had Louis Ray, Mark Witten, Julian Kiley, James McKay, who I never encountered before, and I knew a few of his pieces beforehand, but I wasn't aware of how good it actually is, his work. I bought one of his little books about the natural history of the British Isles. What is its actual title? Trilobites, Dinosaurs, and Mammoths. An introduction to the prehistory of the British Isles. By James McKay, illustrated and written, and it's, even if you are not interested in the natural history of the British Isles per se, it's absolutely packed with beautiful artwork.
Yeah.
Usually a double page, on the right side you have artwork, on the left side you have a text and a little map and stuff like that.
There was
and
also
it's quite cheap. You can get it for £7 online.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. Definitely worth it.
Yeah. I got Louis Ray's Extreme Dinosaurs Part 2. Yeah, that was the one. It's pretty nice. I've looked through it. It's really nice, actually. The artwork's great. I mean, it's explaining the work that went into several of the 4 exhibitions he's created.
Yeah. I was close to buying it, but my suitcase was already pretty full.
Right. No, that's like the first one I got.
Okay, so basically what you're telling me is when I go to TetZooCon, bring an extra suitcase or bag or something.
Yeah, and bring a lot of money, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first book I got was Thunder Lizard from Steve White.
Oh, Steve White.
Yeah. Right. Steve got completely rid of all the books he brought. And TetZooCon was basically the introduction of this book to the open market. It's basically a compilation of all of Steve's artwork he did over the last few years. With some amazing stuff in there. I mean, Steve is known for his large scale ink drawings and paintings. There are several pieces of marine scenes with large bait balls and swarms of ichthyosaurs and stuff like that. Scavenging megalodons and so on.
Yeah.
So really,
also
really
Bob Nichols as well was there as well.
Yes, Bob Nichols. We had actually for the first time this year, that wasn't the case in previous years, a paleo art exhibition.
Yes, that was on the evening of the Saturday, right? Yeah, that was a drinks and paleo art evening.
Yeah,
that was good. Yeah,
it was still up the next day, so other people who didn't pay for the drink reception could see it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really, really good and very diverse in what you could see. It was a little bit unfortunate because there wasn't much room. It was in the same room where all the stalls were built up.
Yeah.
So in the middle of that room there were some walls with art on them, and it was a little bit spontaneous.
Yeah, it was last minute because I mean they really didn't know what rooms they had available at the last minute because they were double booked.
That's one of the reasons why Darren and John I know try to find a new place, because similar things have happened in the past.
Yeah.
Where organization stuff just gone wrong with the venue.
But anyways, it worked out this year. And
it worked out,
nice.
yeah. It was fine. I mean, you didn't have to run through the whole building to come to the next room, so that was okay.
Yeah.
Toilets were nearby, so it's always important.
Yeah. And then we went to the pub afterwards. There was a pub outing.
Pub is important.
Yeah. You got fish and chips. I got a burger. What burger did I get? What did I get in my burger?
Once again, it's a very pressing and serious, important issue.
I need to know what I got. I know Louis Ray got a loaded burger, but what burger did I get? I did
the classical fish and chips.
You did classic fish and chips. Well,
yeah, and a lemonade, because I never get a lemonade here in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah, I got lemonade. The lemonades were bloody expensive, though.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
But nice.
Armin, did you ever get a original British lemonade?
No, I didn't.
If you get a good one, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so much better than most of the soft drinks you get over here.
Okay, I'll definitely give it a try. I write it down, but just remind me next year.
Yeah.
I will.
Thank you.
I believe Steve White got the big fish and chips. So that was fish and chips with also some scampi and other stuff.
Yeah, a few more things. Yeah.
We
first were sitting in the first room. It was basically a paleo artist only table.
And then there was me.
And then there was Achero sitting at the end and taking notes. Interesting. No, yeah. But then the room in the back of the pub
was everyone
cleared
else.
a little to the later hour, and we migrated over there.
Yeah, and we sat with Conway, and
yes.
Do you want to go ahead, Joshua?
We had an interesting discussion.
Yes, we played.
Let's say it this way. John is quite fascinating in the way he opens discussions. Overall, he was like, let's talk about controversial opinions.
Well, there were a couple of controversial opinions shared by that point, so he was like, okay,
Yes.
let's turn this into a game. Everyone say a controversial opinion.
Yeah, everybody
and try
was
and convince
supposed
the
to...
others of it.
Yeah.
Conway won. He managed to convince, I feel, the rest of the table. I mean 4 people. The other 3 people of his controversial opinion, which cannot be shared. That's the rule of the game.
Indeed, it was too controversial.
Yeah,
but still very logical.
Well, yeah, I mean, he convinced us of it, so...
Yeah, we can't talk about it. But as it turns out, I don't have controversial opinions.
No controversial opinions, Armin. There's no controversial opinion from Joshua.
Okay.
I'm very boring.
Yeah.
But, I'm extremely boring, apparently.
No, nothing controversial.
You know, I like what most people like, and I dislike what most people like, and everything else I refuse to have an opinion on. Or I'm like just meh.
Okay. I get the feeling I know what Achero's unpopular opinion was.
Possibly, but that's being discussed outside the podcast.
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna bring it up. I just feel like I know what it is.
Yeah, you can probably get it. Look, it's not one I'm like ashamed to voice. I think I've actually voiced it on the podcast previously.
Every time.
I think you might have hinted at that, yeah.
I have mentioned on the podcast. I've mentioned it in servers because I mean, if you have a controversial opinion, well, that's just your opinion. So
yeah,
don't be ashamed.
You have to mention it.
Well, I mean, in discussion, like, why not mention it if it doesn't do real discussion, which it doesn't. But yeah. So that was drinks.
That was drinks. Yeah. Oh yeah, and on Sunday we had, of course, our Tetsu dinner.
Yeah, and we had lunch as well. We got sandwiches. I don't know if Yoyo mentioned we got sandwiches.
Pasta.
Did you get sandwiches too?
I got a sandwich on Sunday lunch. Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't buy anything on Sunday though. I don't think. I'm probably lying. I probably bought some stuff. Did I buy something? I did. I bought Paleostream on Sunday. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but before the dinner, there was also the quiz. TetZooCon quiz. That was stuff.
World famous TetZooCon quiz, yes.
There was a dead cat. A dead rat, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, talking about the quiz is difficult. You have to be there, really.
Yeah,
and I don't... No, I no longer know all the questions. What I
mean, we're already well over 2 hours in. I don't think we should actually give our viewers the TetZooCon quiz.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I will be back.
Okay, Joshua left. He didn't participate in the quiz and he regrets it because he probably would have
didn't want to disconnect, but tapping.
That's fine. I'm sure Craig won't like rebel and murder us all for that. He probably will.
Most likely. So looking at me.
He's always looking at everyone.
Not
all
blinking.
Of us, always watching. But yeah, so the quiz, that was nice. There was some great prizes. There was like the as yet unreleased Reborn Komodo Dragon. There was several PNSO stuff.
Yes.
There was Tim Haynes' badge, but I don't think anyone got the name badge. I don't know if I know who got that, because I think I was one of the last to get prizes, and I got the dead rat.
I donated.
You got the rat.
Small prints.
I got the dead rat. Yes.
Oh, congrats!
0 out of 10. Not actually a dead rat.
Oh.
The concept is it was the mystery prize.
Yes.
And surprisingly, no one went and got it. It was some stuff from a new coin collection.
Oh, a coin collection.
They're 2014 dated coins, but like with dinosaurs and stuff, and also a torch.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, dinosaurs, that's kind of cool.
And it's gold plated, so I'm okay with that.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I can live with that. But yeah. Yeah, that was the quiz. Everyone got prizes. The worst person got a prize as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Biz was as I think Will Nash put it, we're not horrible here at TetZooCon. We pity you too.
But you have to make
it, Will.
But if you want to get a prize, you have to make it open, public. How bad you were at the quiz. So.
Yeah. So I think only one of the two worst people got up and got it. I think the other person was one of the speakers who shall not be named.
Okay, so public shaming, and then you get a prize.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
I can live with that.
Exactly.
And then we all went to the dinner.
Yeah. To the dinner, and there was also basically an after-show party where the remaining people.
I couldn't stay for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I said goodbye to Yoyo and Achero for that.
Yeah.
But me, Darren, John, a few others, we went around the block, looking for a still open pub, and invaded it. Then that closed.
Right.
We further continued on our search for drinks into a hotel lobby where we sat until 1 a.m.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad.
The pub closed before 1 a.m.
Pubs do close before 1 a.m. actually in the UK.
British pubs close very soon. It has all to do with licenses to.
Yeah, they close at midnight. I think all British pubs.
Yeah.
Damn. Christ, yeah. I usually work until like 5 a.m. at least.
Yeah, no, that's when you go to the clubs and bars.
Yeah, pub
there's a proper. Pub is basically everything from lunch to dinner to a little bit of slightly late drinking, like an hour after dinner time, quote unquote, ends. Because dinner time is between 6 and 9, really. 6 and 10.
Okay,
really.
Fair enough.
So yeah, it's very civilized, and then you go out drinking until like 5 a.m. at clubs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically the same everywhere, but yeah. So that was it, and that was TetZooCon.
Yeah, that was basically it. What an amazing meeting.
Indeed it was. Armin, you have to join next year, and we will do a live from TetZooCon next year.
Yes, a proper live one.
Yeah.
And Darren, if you're watching this, NHC Podcast panel, please. The influence of paleontology in YouTube, and the influence of YouTube as a distributor of paleontology.
That's a good idea.
It's a new medium. It's a new medium, yeah.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah. No, I wanted actually to write down some ideas for next year. I think I also have to go now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That was
cat needs
2.5 hours. So.
And stuff like that. So.
I just want to check before we go how long our Wait, I want to check how long our previous longest record holder is, and to see if this episode will beat
I'm
it.
checking right now. So, 2 hours, 34 minutes, and 6 seconds is Paleo Games Part 2.
Wow,
I think that was the longest.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, quickly, if we can wrap this up, we won't actually beat it. And yeah.
We just keep getting longer and longer.
Yeah. Let's try and... But I guess now we're obliged to make our next taxon video. I mean, anything shouldn't be too bad. I hope. Swearing will be fun, Joshua. Thank you for that.
Definitely. no problem.
So yeah,
it was fun talking about it.
Absolutely.
It was fun having you here, Joshua.
Yep. Thank you for joining.
And yeah, I'm definitely gonna try joining next year, so my presence at the podcast is actually warranted.
Yeah, and that's all from us. So we'll see you, not all of us, not Joshua, but we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.